When we are good, no one remembers us. When we are bad, no one forgets us. These were words by the one and only one, Joaquin Guzman Loera, aka Chapo. Good afternoon, professor and classmates. Today, we are going to talk about El Chapo and his escapes. My partner's name is Sergio Silva, and my name is Victor Salas. Through this discourse, we are going to explain how the most wanted leader from Sinaloa's cartel mocked Mexico's government. In order to do that, we will tell you the story of one of the most shocking prison escapes so far, starting with who this person is to his most unbelievable escapes and his current situation.
Let's begin with who is the most wanted leader from Sinaloa's cartel. The Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera was born in the rural Mexican town of Badiraguato. The date of his birth is believed to be in April 4, 1957, according to Time magazine. Guzman's childhood was shaped by his family's poverty and his abusive father, a violent man who was in the drug trade. By his late 20s, the quiet but intelligent Guzman was supervising logistics for another drug kingpin, Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, founder of the Guadalajara cartel. By the late 1970s, Guzman had proven his value in the narcotics business and begun working with another rising young dealer named Hector Palma Salazar. Guzman oversaw the movement of drugs from his home district of Sinaloa, a crucial drug trafficking area on the western end of Mexico, where narcotics flowed north to the coastal cities and into the United States. Guzman kept a low profile, but when his boss was eventually arrested in 1985 by murdering one of the DEA agents, or American Drug Enforcement Administration, he quickly emerged as one of the new faces of Mexican drug world. Inheriting some of his former boss' territory, Guzman founded his own cartel, known as Sinaloa, in 1989. Nicknamed El Chapo, over time building it into an immensely profitable global drug trafficking operation. By the early 1990s, Guzman was on the radar of the DEA and FBI and was considered one of the most powerful and dangerous drug traffickers.
Next, we are going to talk about how Chapo managed to escape from Puente Grande. On June 10th of 1993, Mexico announced Guzman's first capture in Guatemala. But even after Guzman was confined, Robert Saviano writes that El Chapo continued to manage his affairs from prison without problems. Also, Saviano affirms that the maximum security prison Puente Grande, where Chapo was transferred in 1995, became his new base of operations. On January 19 of 2001, with the help of brave guards, Guzman escaped from his top security prison. Saviano describes that one of Chapo's henchmen, known as El Chito, opened the door to Chapo's cell and helped him climb into a cart of dirty laundry. They headed down unguarded hallways and threw open electric gates to indoor parking lot, where only one guard was on duty. El Chapo got out of the car and go into the trunk of a Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And here we have an example of his first escape by Channel 4 News in 2015.
By the same token, El Chapo was able to mock Mexico's maximum federal security prison, El Altiplano. Even though he was the most dangerous criminal, he was able to avoid his capture. But then on February 22 in 2014, after an operation between Mexican and US authorities, he was captured. But he was not going to bribe his way out of prison this time. When being moved around, he was surrounded by the military police. This time, he was locked in a very restricted area. His cell had no windows and he had a little contact with anyone. The infographic show in 2020 reveals that he had a bed, shelf, a shower, a toilet bowl, and a basin. He also had the right to receive the maximum amount of money to buy hygiene supplies. He had the chance to go out of his cell for just an hour every day, and no one was able to talk to him. We don't believe the Secretary of the Interior. We don't believe the Attorney General's office. We don't believe Peña. And because I was inside the prison, I can tell you that El Altiplano is not a prison from which you can escape. Referred to by the social activist Flavio Sosa, interviewed by Vice News in 2015. This source also said that at 8:52 p.m., he vanished by walking to the toilet area where the camera could not detect him anymore. That was a video from Debate News in 2014. The way El Chapo get out of there was a really elaborated plan and took millions of dollars, a very genius mind behind, and loyal collaborators. The infographic show in 2019 mentioned that the idea behind this plan was to avoid modern digging equipment in order to reduce noise, and it took 16 months to be done.
Finally, we want you to know about the recapture of Chapo and where Chapo is nowadays. But first, do you know what year Chapo was recaptured? Correct. In January 2016, Peña Nieto announced on Twitter that Mexican authorities had recaptured Guzman after a showdown earlier that morning in the city of Los Mochis. Guzman was returned to the same prison from which he escaped the previous summer. He was later moved near to US border in Juarez, Mexico. In my research, I found that in January 2017, the Mexican government extradited Guzman to the United States to face drug trafficking and other charges. Following more than 200 hours of testimonies, in February 2019, El Chapo was found guilty on all 10 counts against him, including participation in a criminal enterprise, drug trafficking, and use of firearms, according to website biography. In conclusion, this was the story of how the greatest Mexican criminal found his way out of prison twice. The three main points that you have to remember of El Chapo are: he founded one of the most influential cartels in the history of drug trafficking. Second one is El Chapo is the only Mexican criminal who escaped twice from a high security prison. And the last one is currently the Chapo resides in the US, paying his sentence for the acts he committed over his criminal life. On July 17 of 2019, Judge Kogan sentenced El Chapo to life in prison plus 30 years, along with ordering him to pay $12.6 billion in restitution.
Thank you for your attention. Here we have our references.